So we did this the last show. We're going to bring it back again because, new coaches got hired. So love it, like it, trash it. We're going to talk about some of these hires, coaches, coordinators. Love it. Obviously self-explanatory. Like it. Not so much loving it, but it's still good. And then trash it means they made a mistake. So first one, I don't know how he missed this one. Brian Callahan as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans.
I like it. I don't love it, but I don't want to trash it either. He won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, Super Bowl 50. So he's got that pedigree in terms of success. Now, Grant, I think he was like an offensive assistant there. And he's done a good job with the Bengals, right? And he learned from Zach Taylor. Listen, who Zach Taylor learned from McVay.
Yes.
I was wrong about Zach Taylor. He's a really good coach. But my only concern why I don't love it is, and we always talk about this, which is maybe unfair to certain people, he had Burrow, Jamar Chase, Higgins. He had an offense there.
We said the same thing about Mike McDaniel. They had this loaded team, and he wasn't even the OC. He was the run game coordinator. We're like, and then he turns out to be this.
So that is why that is why I don't trash it, but I don't love it because I still want to see, especially in Tennessee, he has some work to do. Let's face it.
I wanted to hate it because I'm like, oh, damn, this is just stupid. They could have just kept Vrabel. I thought they were going to make a sexier splash. And then the more I looked into it, I actually love it because of the things we talked about. I think I want to see what this team could be like when we have a coach, an offensive coach that's coaching for today's game. Then two other things. One, he comes from that tree. And look what he did with Jake Brown. And you talking about, he's got Burrow and all his weapons. He didn't have those this year. T. Higgins barely played. Joe Burrow was out for most of the season. And he coached so well as a coordinator that he's got Jake Brown and thinking he's a top 32 quarterback in the league with confidence. Think about how good of a coach you have to have Jake Brown and telling teams you shouldn't have cut me. Yes, everybody should have cut you. That just shows that he knows he can dial up good plays. And then the kicker for me is he gets to bring over his dad, who was the O-line coach, I think, for the Browns, right?
His last spot, yes, was Cleveland. But he's been a lot of places and had a lot of success.
He's got experience. So the fact that you can bring that's like bringing over Monty Kiffin. You got somebody in your staff that you can trust, but has the experience. You don't have to worry about what they're doing. They know how to do their job. And I think that rubs off on the rest of your staff. So I think he's in a position to do well. That division is always up and down. Anybody can take the division. So I think that's a good move. I love it. Next one, who we got? Oh, I know where you're going with this. Dan Quinn as the head coach at DC, your Commanders.
Listen, do I need to say anything else but 28-3? Listen, trash it. 28-3. Listen, if someone wants to hire him, that's great. But if I've got an organization, it's not going to be my organization that's doing it. And it's no offense to him. It's just that's the way. That's the way it is. I think being here in the DC spot, they needed an offensive guy, and
they tried, and they all said no.
In a sexy pick, and they didn't get either with this hire. They needed to make a splash. I don't understand how you could not have made a splash. If you had to overpay for Ben Johnson, do it. If you had to overpay for someone else, do it. Do it. I don't understand you already got a guy that once stabilized the organization to go from old ownership to new ownership. Ron Rivera. This is Ron Rivera part 2. It really is. How is this? How is this any different? Well, we're going to see. We'll see the ending.
I don't love it. I like it because I agree. I wish they would have hired an offensive guy, but you can only hire the guys that want to be hired. So let's be real. Slowick and Ben Johnson decided to return to their teams as OC.
But JT, there's other offensive guys out there. What took them so long to act on Dave Canales?
But here's the thing.
Problem. This is what the problem was. They were holding out hope on Ben Johnson, so they waited and waited.
And it blew up in their face.
Yep, everyone else got scooped up. If you're going to go this route, go Aaron Glenn. If you're going to go defense.
I disagree. The reason I like this is because of what you said. Yes, they blew it in the Super Bowl, but they got there. He's been to Super Bowls with 2 different teams.
So did Ron Rivera. He got there with Carolina.
Once. But he got there with the Seahawks.
Who did they – wait. Dan Quinn was not the head coach. So
no, but he got there as a DC,
all right,
and
great.
he got there as a head coach
Ron
in Atlanta.
Rivera got there as a player with the Chicago Bears. Like,
oh my God,
this is Ron Rivera part 2.
We talking about players now. Come on,
we're talking about players.
Devin Hester got to the Super Bowl as a player. He should be a head coach. That's stupid. You know what I'm trying to say? He's a much more stabilizing force, and I agree with you. I would love to have seen them get an offensive guy, but you can only hire who wants to be hired. The fact that they brought in Cliff Kingsbury, I don't love it, but at least it shows they're committed. And also, I don't know how much this new ownership is. You know what? We're going to do things very calculated. We're not overpaying. We're doing things very strategic. I think Dan Quinn is a sneaky good play where it's like he gets the right staff around him. I think he can have that team ready. So I like it. I don't love it, but I'm not trashing it. Like he's done too many good things in this league as a coach. And I think we're trashing him based on that one Super Bowl game. It was against Tom Brady. And, you know, his defense got blown up against the Packers in one game. Any given Sunday that can happen. But his body of work has been impressive. More impressive than anything that Ron Rivera has done.
Wow. I totally disagree there. Are you nuts? Ron Rivera went 15-1. Come on. So this is what I will say.
Ron Rivera had 3 winning seasons his whole entire coaching career.
This is what I will say. If you're looking to stabilize the organization and in the next 4 years make the playoffs once, yeah, Dan Quinn's the safe pick. Ron Rivera part 2. If you're trying to win Super Bowls, which every organization should be trying to.
We don't. I'm telling you.
You're not going to win it.
They're being mature about this. We don't know. Ben Johnson can come in and be asked. Don't know how to run a don't know how to run a team. He could be Nathaniel Hackett. We don't know. I know Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn will be a professional head coach.
It'll be Ron Rivera part 2. That's what it is.
Disagree. Next one. Okay. Speaking of DC, Cliff Kingsbury coming on as the OC Commanders. Love it, like it, trash it.
Just like with the question right before it, trash it. Like, and this is part of why, you know, Dan Quinn.
You grading Dan Campbell on the Cliff Kingsbury scale?
No. Dan Campbell liking and wanting Cliff Kingsbury as his guy. Another reason why I don't. Yeah, you said Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn.
Did I say Dan Campbell?
You did.
See, he's so intimidating. He just sneak it into segments. See, that's why you need to hire him. We talking about him. Right. He's not even on the question.
That's right. He's in our mind. He's living rent free. But it's trashy. And this is the biggest reason why. 2022 Caleb Williams, over 4,500 passing yards, 42 touchdowns. This past year, who was his coach in terms of offensive coordinator? Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury. You know what he did? 3,600 yards, so 900 yards less, no Heisman, and only 30 touchdowns compared to 42. Cliff Kingsbury.
He turned them into Kyler Murray.
Cliff Kingsbury couldn't win with Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray's pretty good. How will he win in DC with this offense? Explain that. I don't know. Trash.
I agree with you. Trash it. Just because Cliff Kingsbury hasn't been good at any point in his career, and this is how I know I can trash it. He couldn't win with Kyler Murray, who ended up being a Heisman Trophy quarterback. He couldn't win with Patrick Mahomes, who ended up being the best quarterback in NFL history. And he couldn't win with Caleb Williams, who people say is probably the best quarterback prospect ever. Like, his offense has proven to not work in the NFL. It's proven not to work in college. So what about this can I love? Yes, Caleb Williams likes him for whatever reason. Obviously, Caleb Williams, I need to reevaluate him. He seems like he don't care about winning. So you got worse with this guy. Like nothing about this shows me that it's good. Like it hasn't worked. So I gotta trash it. Terrible move. I would have gotten somebody else. Last one. Our boy, Canes. The fall guy, Ken Dorsey, as OC of the Cleveland Browns.
Sorry, man. He was not just the fall guy in Buffalo. Trash it. Listen, the guy, he couldn't win. With all due respect to our Canes alum, he couldn't win with Josh Allen. And then look how Allen looked significantly better under Joe
just turned
Brady.
Around and handed the ball off to James Cook?
No.
Like, he looked so great just throwing it less and handing the ball off to the running backs.
That is so not true. He looked significantly better under Joe Brady. And in fact, Joe Brady on January 28th was named full-time offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. 5-5 with Dorsey. 6-1 with Joe Brady. Enough said.
I'm going to trash it, but for a different reason. One, what the hell are the Browns doing? Your offense was one of the top offenses in the league with no Nick Chubb.
Didn't they have Van Pelt? Wasn't it Van Pelt? And they let him walk?
I think they had like 3 or 4 guys they let all go. And it's like, this is one of the top offenses in the league. You went to the playoffs. You had no Deshaun Watson, no Nick Chubb, and the ghost of Amari Cooper for most of the year.
You had no quarterback.
You had no quarterback.
Deshaun, you had no quarterback.
Like, I'm sorry. These guys on this offensive staff should have got a freaking raise. How did you get fired? Like, I went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco and whoever the hell the running backs were, Jerome Ford and the ghost of Kareem Hunt. Like, you are down your major franchise cornerstone pieces on offense, and the offense continues to hum. And it was better than what I had seen when Stefanski was probably calling the plays. This offense actually looked like modern. And you fire those guys, they're bringing the guy that couldn't get the best out of a guy that we think is an MVP quarterback in Josh Allen. I got to trash it. Like, Ken Dorsey, you should have came back to Miami and been the OC, because I just don't understand how you follow up what the Browns did on offense. Terrible move. Made no sense.